Hi, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Hayden.
And this is...
Until the End of Crime, 2026. Wait, what year did we start this?
2024. Well,
Wow.
you're going to get technical.
And we're still here. Yeah.
2020.
Oh, no, not that technical. That doesn't
2024.
even... Yeah.
We put in a lot of work in 2020 and 2021.
We did. That's true. That's fair.
And we tabled it.
Yeah. So, when was our first episode released?
Middle of July 2024.
Okay. I mean, we've officially lasted longer than I really originally anticipated. So...
Yes, I am aware.
I mean, I think I probably said that when we hit a year, but now we're into 2026. Yeah. So I kind of feel like, wow, I'm really kind of proud of myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we were realistic with ourselves and we made necessary adjustments in order to allow it to continue on rather than just being like, nah, we're done.
Yeah.
Because we do enjoy it.
I do. I enjoy being here with you. I enjoy talking about stories that are true crime. I could do this about anything. I could come and sit here and talk to you about anything. But I'm glad we do true crime.
Yeah. We do talk about anything, but then we hit record and we try to keep it focused in on true crime.
Try really hard. It's really hard for us here, guys. I know, besties, it's probably hard to believe, but Cameron she edits shit out. She tries to make things more cogent and more on topic, and she is the queen of cohesion because this is a mess. Pre-production.
Sometimes it really is. Sometimes post-production is a mess because I refuse to listen back to it after I've edited it, and I think sometimes it makes it seem like we've got a weird energy with one another, but I can't listen back to it again because I'll just edit it down until it goes, hi, I'm Cameron, and I'm Hayden, and this is Until the End of Crime, and then the music just like fades in and then fades back out.
Yeah, and just in case you didn't know, we re-record that shit every time. You have never heard the same intro more than... You've just never heard the same intro.
If they've listened to multiple episodes, they definitely know, because there's one where we do this whole, like, Trixie and Katya thing when we start the episode.
Yeah. What episode is that?
I don't know, but I was going through... Oh, gosh. It was such an ordeal. So because I don't have access to our YouTube account, I have to be subscribed to it and then go to each individual video to look at comments. And I was trying to look at comments, but every time I would click on the video, they would start automatically. And then I would have to stop it. And one time I was like, what is this? So I don't know.
I'm surprised you left that in.
Well, because we were like, because it's our show and not yours or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I left it in. It was funny for me. And I guess that's really just what I'm looking for when I edit. And when I write my cases.
Well, there you go.
Really just trying to make myself laugh.
Well, I'm glad you try to make yourself laugh. And I'm trying to honor you today. And I'm trying to honor your mother today. Because today's case is not about a disappearance. It is not Okay, well, that's a lie. It is still an unsolved crime. But there are no disappearances. Okay.
You really pick and choose when you're willing to tell me whether or not it's unsolved at the top. If I ask, you won't tell me. But if you volunteer it, then I always am like, oh, okay, good. I know going into this that I'll be, like, left on a cliffhanger.
You have to find something else to be irritated with throughout the case. Today's case, and I think you're going to see this, I found it by going to Google and typing in weird cases. Weird true crime cases. That didn't narrow it down enough. So then I wrote down supernatural weird true crime cases. And I still don't think that got me to where I wanted to be. And so let me go ahead and pose today's question to you.
Okay.
Cameron, what do you think about interplanetary aliens or extraterrestrials?
Interplanetary extraterrestrial aliens. I don't think about them.
Ever?
Never. Never of my own accord am I sitting around and do I think about aliens.
You know, I never thought about aliens. I've never thought about interplanetary aliens during a Donald Trump presidency because my mind is usually preoccupied with other things.
It's too much.
But man, when it was Barack Obama and Joe Biden, I had way too much time to think about aliens. They were doing things like helping make sure that gay marriage was passed and made it through the Supreme Court. And aliens? No. The Obama and Biden administrations taking care of things like civil rights and liberties. And so just regular planetary peace was a goal during those administrations. And so as of now, the last year, I've thought about aliens fucking 0%. My energy has been spent thinking about and being concerned with things happening on this planet and the humans that evolved here. So I'm grateful for that.
Whoa.
It also gives me the distance.
Evolution.
I know. This is a radical podcast today. This is... I'm talking about science. I'm talking about global stability. I don't know. Who am I? What is this?
Did somebody discover something and then they had to be taken care of by the government and that's why it's unsolved? You said it wasn't a disappearance.
You know, that's literally... I know you're doing that to joke. I think about how many people the government's killed over the years.
I wasn't
how many
joking.
secrets they've kept.
That was my guess.
How many aliens and extraterrestrial interplanetary aliens have been here. So I'm of two minds. Aliens are advanced. And they've been here. They've been here multiple times throughout history. They were actually here for Area 51. Or they've actually made contact with us. Or like that fucking former Canadian government official has said that the United States has already made contact and has contact with 3 different alien species. I either believe all of that, or, this is a big or, I believe that extraterrestrials do exist, but they're not advanced enough to have come here.
That's where I'm at, because I'm not saying that I don't think that there are other planets in other galaxies out there that exist with sentient beings on them. I think talking about them, even in the way that you're phrasing the conversation around them, really centers us as Earth humans as in the whole idea, when in actuality there's probably... Do you remember Clamorin and Clayton? There's probably... What did I say? Until the end of Climb? You said on planet Clurf. So we tried recording this episode a few days ago. We were having all of the difficulties in the world. It was delayed by about 2.5 hours. And then when we got started, my connection kept cutting out. And so my audio track was about half as long as Hayden's. We never even got into the case, but we were talking about aliens. And there is some being on another planet talking about aliens and how advanced they may be or whatever, and they're referring to us. We're not that advanced. I mean, I wouldn't say that we're advanced right now. I would say that I'm sure, because that would be way too egocentric to think that we're the only planet with living beings on it and water and whatever. But I don't think about them. And I think that they also probably sit around and have conversations like this, and some of them think about us and some of them don't think about us.
So just a recap of what we just did, but different planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, Clamorin and Clayton.
On their podcast.
On their Clodpast.
It's so stupid. Why does every word have a CL in it? I'm sure I was originally trying to say Hayden, but failed miserably.
Yeah.
That's a real cute name. If anybody out there just found out they're having a baby this year, you can have that one for free. Hayden.
There you go. I think Clamrin is better. Get over here, Clam.
Probably best suited for a boy, don't you think?
I think why stop there? I think do what you want. Name your kids whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. We are technologically advancing, but rapidly regressing in things like morality and sociability and strategic social norms and the social contract. So name your kid fucking Banana. Are you ready to get started?
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to read you some Portuguese in a minute. On the afternoon of Saturday, August 20th, 1966, the dense, humid hair of Niterói, Brazil, hung heavy over the Morro de Vintém.
The dense, humid hair?
Did I say hair?
It almost sounded like you said human
With an
hair.
H?
With an
Okay.
H. I don't know. I'll run it back. I know you mean air.
On the afternoon of Saturday, August 20th, 1966, the dense, humid air of Niterói, Brazil, hung heavy over the Morro de Vintém. Rising steeply from the urban sprawl of the Santa Rosa neighborhood, Vintém Hill was a patchwork of dense scrub vegetation, muddy trails, and difficult terrain. It was a place that discouraged casual hikers, a landscape of isolation that loomed over the city below. It was here, amidst the rustling Capim Colonial grass, that an 18-year-old local named Jorge da Costa Alves was navigating the slopes. His purpose was innocent. He was searching for a lost kite that had drifted into the thicket. But what he was about to discover would unearth one of the most baffling forensic mysteries in South American history. Pushing through the wet vegetation, Alves stumbled upon a small flattened clearing near the summit. There, lying supine in a position of eerie repose, were the bodies of two men. They were not dressed for a rugged hike or the tropical humidity. Instead, they wore formal suits concealed beneath heavy, waterproof trench coats.
Isn't this similar to the guy that was found on the beach in Australia?
I don't know that one, but maybe.
Hold on, let me look it up. The Somerton man was an unidentified man whose body was found on December 1st, 1948 on the beach at Somerton Park, a suburb of Adelaide, South Australia. I'm pretty sure I remember that he was dressed in a suit, but it says in 1959 a witness came forward and reported to the police that he and 3 others had seen a well-dressed man carrying another man on his shoulders along the beach the night before the body was found. Okay.
Was he ever identified?
His dental records were not able to be matched to any known person.
Okay.
Possibly identified in 2022.
Okay. That's helpful. Well, back to Brazil.
Yeah, okay, sorry. We gotta leave Australia. Head on back to
That's
Brazil.
okay. The scene lacked the chaotic disarray typical of a violent crime. No blood, no scattered debris of a struggle, and no obvious weapons. The men lay side by side as if they had simply laid down to sleep and then never moved again. However, the defining feature of this kind of macabre tableau is the detail that would seize the imagination of the Brazilian public and investigators worldwide. It was found on their faces. Resting over the eyes of each man was a crude hand-fashioned mask made of lead. They were not carnival masks or disguises in the traditional sense. They were shaped like rudimentary sunglasses, but were solid, heavy, and devoid of eye holes. They were functional objects designed to block out something specific. Light, radiation, or perhaps the terrifying visage of the celestial entity they believed they had summoned.
Don't you mean visage?
Beside the decomposing bodies lay a set of puzzling artifacts. An empty bottle of mineral water, a packet containing 2 wet towels, and a notebook containing cryptic instructions that seemed to bridge the gap between science fiction and occult ritual. The boy, terrified by the stench of decay and the bizarre sight of the masked figures, fled the hill to alert the authorities. His report would trigger a cascade of police incompetence, media sensationalism, and parapsychological speculation that remains unresolved to this day. I want to kind of contextualize how this scene came to be. The two men who were found, Manoel Pereira de Cruz. To what? Did you say beautiful? Manoel Pereira, but I don't know how to speak Portuguese. De Cruz and Miguel José Viana to their deaths on Vintém Hill. We have to kind of look at the socio-political and cultural atmosphere of Brazil in the mid-1960s.
I want to be very clear that I'm laughing at your pronunciation of even Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Saying in Portuguese. And not at anything else. Anything else.
Okay. In the mid-1960s, Brazil was a country of profound transition and tension. 2 years prior to 1966 and 1964, a military coup had overthrown the democratic government, establishing a dictatorship that would rule for 2 decades. This regime brought with it a climate of repression, censorship, and paranoia, where state security forces were omnipotent and civil liberties were curtailed. In such an environment, where political dissent was dangerous... What?
That doesn't happen.
No, never. In such an environment where political dissent was dangerous, segments of the population often turned inward, seeking answers in spirituality, mysticism, and alternative belief systems. Brazil has long been a spiritual melting pot, home to Catholicism, Candomblé, Umbanda, and Spiritism. But in the 1960s, a unique syncretism began to emerge among the urban technical class, known as Scientific Spiritualism. This movement sought to reconcile the technological boom of the 20th century with the metaphysical tenets of contacting the dead or higher intelligences. Followers of this philosophy did not view spirits or extraterrestrials as purely supernatural beings, but as entities that operated according to the laws of physics not yet understood by mainstream science. They believed that communication with these entities required not just faith, but technical apparatuses, like radios, magnets, and conductors, to bridge the vibrational gap between worlds. Okay, I saw the facial expression.
Again, I think it's a matter of, like, Earth humans really centering themselves, because there may be no equivalent to a radio wave or magnet. They may have things on a different planet that are completely out of what we're able to comprehend, because we're just living in different galaxies. We're just living literally worlds apart. And so they also may be 3,000 years ahead of where we are, or maybe they're 2,000 years behind where we are. I don't know. So we're gonna do this and try to communicate with them. What if they don't want to communicate? What if they're not trying to communicate? What if they're actively building things to block communication from Earth?
Lock those losers out. Both victims held the profession of electronics technician, which uniquely positions them within this scientific spiritualism subculture. To men like Manoel and Miguel, the soldering iron and the transistor were as much tools of the occult as the medium's table. They understood that invisible waves carried voices through the air via radio and television. It was a short logical leap to believe that similar waves could carry messages from the afterlife or other planets. Coinciding with this spiritual evolution was a surge in unidentified flying object sightings, or UFO sightings, across South America. The 1950s and 60s saw high-profile cases, such as the 1957 Villas-Boas abduction and the Ubatuba. I'm sure it's not Ubatuba, but it's spelled like Ubatuba. So I can't imagine saying it any other way. Ubatuba. Ubatuba. Maybe that's better.
It with a U or with a Y?
U.
It's probably Ubatuba.
Ubatuba.
Is it Portuguese?
Portuguesa.
Yeah, they don't say U with the U sound. It's oo. I mean, It could be a little bit. It's similar, but it's not the same as Spanish. And that is what I know of Spanish.
Ubatuba. Pronon.
Ubatuba.
Ubatuba. Ubatuba. Ubatuba. Oh, now this bitch said Ubatuba. Ubatuba.
Ubatuba.
Ubachaba. So, okay, we're sounding culturally insensitive. I am so sorry. That is not the point. You guys, I'm one breath away from being a fucking hillbilly. I'm one missing tooth away from a banjo.
But you said, and I wasn't going to say anything, but I got a case against you being that much of a hillbilly.
Okay.
You said soldering instead of soldering.
Okay.
And I was like, it does not sound like he's from small town Texas, pronouncing the L in that. I'll tell you that much.
There are sometimes I say words so eloquently, so near transatlantically, and it sounds so erudite. And then I speak, and it's like Reba McEntire threw up shop in my mouth.
I speak transatlantically over here, so I do sound like a hillbilly. Are you American? No.
No, bitch, I'm doing an accent. I would literally try to convince people in the UK that I was just doing an American accent.
You slip up every once in a while and mispronounce a word.
Yeah.
I never say pasta. I always say pasta.
You're convincing. You can have the ruse. You can have the joke.
Banana.
Go to a local library and test it out.
Tomato. Yeah, I'll go. It'll be the middle of the afternoon and pitch black outside. They'll be like, she looks really disoriented by this. She's not from here.
That shit is whack. I'll tell you, that is so whack. When you told me about the way the time is affected in terms of, okay, well, you're at this latitude, you get this much more sun into the evening versus this much less sun into the evening. My brain could not process that.
I'm basically in Alaska.
You're basically at the fucking North Pole.
No, seriously, sometimes seriously, I'm like, oh, I need to go to bed soon. And I'll look at the time and it's 5:30. And so then I'm like, oh, I don't need to go to bed soon. And then the next time I look at the time, it's like 10:30. And I'm like, what the fuck happened?
That feels so disorienting.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I just imagine such confusion.
Jarring is what at least the British children say.
How do your fucking circadian rhythms get back on track?
You know, here's what I've learned over this break. Because I've always been somebody who wakes up whenever it starts to lighten up outside. Mm-hmm. I've been sleeping a hell of a lot later than I've ever slept before because the sky gets lighter later than what I'm used to.
Okay.
So, like, in the summer, I don't sleep. Like 4 hours because the sun sets at 9 or 10 and then it starts to rise at like 3:45, 4 o'clock.
Setting at 10 p.m. would piss me off so bad. That would make me so mad. I love the light. 10 p.m. is too late. 10 p.m. I should be in my bed. But if it's light outside, I'm going to think I shouldn't be in bed. Yeah. Okay, back to Ubatuba. In the popular imagination of the time, extraterrestrials were often viewed as space brothers or advanced spiritual guides who could usher humanity into a new age.
I do prefer Space Brothers to aliens. It feels less...
What's up, my space brother?
It feels... Okay.
Whoa, okay. Whoa. What's up, my space brother?
That's so stupid. Whoa.
Give me some of that sick extraterrestrial skin.
I think that
I didn't even know what was happening until it rolled off my tongue. I was like, space brother.
I think that the brothers is like two entities that are both like here, but aliens is like, I am here and you are there. I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, but I do like brothers. I do like brothers better than aliens. And the way that, like, the language then centers humans when it's aliens.
Okay. So, they believe that these space brothers could usher in...
These space brothers...
They thought these space siblings could in turn usher into a new age for humanity.
Too woke. It was too woke. It's genderless. That's basically they theming. This is a really radical podcast today.
Gnarly. However,
space brothers
were advanced spiritual guides that could usher humanity into a new age. Oh my god. However, these interactions were viewed with trepidation. The energies associated with UFOs, like radiation, blinding light, and magnetic anomalies, were considered physically dangerous to the unprepared human body. This belief system is critical to interpreting the physical evidence found at the crime scene, particularly the lead masks, which are historically associated with protection against X-rays and radiation. The victims were not isolated madmen. They were participants in a broader cultural techno-mysticism that sought to bypass the limitations of the physical world through a crude, dangerous application of pseudoscience. The two men at the center of this mystery fit the profile of respectable working-class citizens, which made their bizarre demise all the more shocking. Manoel Pereira de Cruz, age 32, was an electronics technician residing in Campos dos Goitacazes, a municipality located approximately 175 miles northeast of Rio de Janeiro. He was married and was a father. He was described by neighbors as a responsible man who ran a small electronics repair shop. However, beneath this veneer of normalcy, Manoel was deeply entrenched in the study of spiritism and the occult. Evidence suggests that he was the more dominant or active partner in the duo's experiments, as indicated by the fact that earlier tests were conducted at his residence. Miguel José Viana, aged 34, was also an electronics technician from Campos, married with children. Like Manoel, he balanced his conventional domestic life with a hidden obsession of the esoteric. While less is documented about his specific role, witnesses described him as the more anxious of the two during their final hours, suggesting that he may have been following Manoel's lead or was perhaps more aware of the potential dangers they faced. Crucially, investigations revealed they were part of a small secretive circle of scientific spiritualists in Campos. The group engaged in experiments that went far beyond parlor seances, attempting to build devices to communicate with extraterrestrials and spirits. One critical precursor event occurred approximately 2 months prior to their deaths. Manoel and Miguel, possibly in the company of a friend named Elcio Gomez, constructed a device in the garden of Manoel's home. The nature of this device today still remains obscure, but reports indicate that it was intended to contact life on other planets. When tested, the device exploded violently. The incident demonstrates that the men were willing to work with volatile, dangerous materials in pursuit of their goals. The failure of...
It's something that you've said twice now that really strikes me, because they're talking, and this is in the 60s, about getting radio waves to communicate with other planets. And I mean, if I drove 15 minutes outside of my hometown growing up, I would be out of range for my favorite radio station if I was moving away from Austin. So I think they're really overestimating the potential of their radio frequencies to get through this ozone layer and all of the other atmospheric changes. Not between
ozone layer.
Well, I know it's gone now, but
I don't know stratospheric science, and
well, I'm an expert, so let me just school you right now.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I don't know shit.
Okay. Now, it's just a TV show, but in Stranger Things, they're using radios to talk across dimensions. They're using radios to talk from Indiana to Utah. So I don't know. Maybe radio antenna signals can be boosted or operate differently.
Especially when they're just aimed up at the sky.
When they're aimed at aliens.
Arbitrarily.
So I hear you. I don't... When did they even start using FM radio? And of course, I think that we're thinking radio waves in the way that we consume them for like terrestrial music radio. I don't know how that looks different. I mean, I know that's what scientists do now. They're beaming radio waves out into space, hoping that any other sentient life catches it, understands it, and sends us a message back. Like, they're literally constantly pumping radio waves out into space.
Don't get me started on understands it.
The failure of the device may have pushed them towards more extreme measures, or convinced them that they needed to travel to a specific location, such as Vintém Hill, with specific protective gear to succeed where the garden experiment had failed.
I will retract my arbitrarily statement. Sounds like it wasn't that arbitrary. Maybe they felt called there.
The reconstruction of their final days reveals a deliberate, scheduled progression toward their demise. On the morning of Wednesday, August 17th, 1966, Manoel and Miguel informed their wives that they were traveling to...
Informed their wives via interpretive dance.
Is it San Paulo or Sao Paulo?
I think Sao Paulo, but I don't know.
Sao Paulo. To purchase electronic components and a used car. This cover story served a dual purpose. It explained their absence and justified the large sum of cash they carried. Estimates of this sum vary, but it's widely cited as approximately 3 million cruceros, at the time roughly equivalent to 1,000 USD, a substantial amount representing several months of wages. They boarded a bus in Campos, but they did not head to Sao Paulo. Instead, they purchased tickets for Niterói, arriving at the bus station around 2:30 p.m. Upon arrival to Niterói, the weather was deteriorating, with heavy rain and cold temperatures setting in. Despite this, the men moved with purpose, executing a series of errands that seemed preparatory for the specific event. After briefly visiting an electronics workshop, they entered a shop named Casa Brasilia at 3 p.m. and purchased 2 waterproof trench coats. This purchase is significant. The men were found wearing suits, and the purchase of heavy coats suggests they anticipated spending a significant amount of time outdoors in the elements, likely stationary. At 4 p.m., they stopped at a bar on Marc de Pereira.
I randomly yesterday thought about the fact that when I was a child, I had this doctor that I would go to in Austin, and in the waiting room, you know how they have fish tanks and stuff there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he had piranhas. I want to say
weird.
He was a podiatrist. But when you said that, I was like, wait, I just thought about this like yesterday. piranhas.
Also, just for reference, it is not spelled like piranha. I think it's piranha. They stopped at the store to buy the bottled mineral water.
Yes.
The bottled mineral water. The waitress who served them provided crucial testimony. She described Miguel as appearing very nervous and noted that he repeatedly checked his watch. Again, this behavior was really consistent with someone adhering to a strict deadline. Notably, he kept the receipt for the bottle deposit, implying an intention to return and reclaim the small sum, a detail that arguably weighs against a premeditated suicide pact. After leaving the bar, the men headed toward Vintém Hill. Some witness accounts, though unverified, claim they were seen entering a jeep with two other unidentified men at the base of the hill. Whether they hiked alone or were driven part of the way, they eventually ascended the muddy, difficult terrain to a spot near the summit. 3 days later, following the report by the young boy, police and firefighters reached the scene. The tableau they found was frozen in time, undisturbed by predation or scavenging, though decomposition had begun. The bodies lay side by side on a bed of Capum colonial leaves. It's just the grass type that's there. I looked that up. I was like, what does this mean? It's just the type of grass. Forensic analysis revealed these leaves had been cut with a sharp instrument, likely a knife, indicating the men had prepared the site themselves. The preparations suggest a ritualistic or functional intent, creating a clean barrier between themselves and the wet ground. The lead masks were found on their faces, again, crude hand-cut from lead sheeting and shaped like sunglasses without temples, designed to balance on the eyes. It was the notebook found in a pocket that contained cryptic instructions, which have kind of defined the case. Written in block letters in Portuguese, they read, 1630 estar no local determinado. I'm not even trying, right? You're just going to get what you get. 1830, ingerir capsules, apos, I feel like I'm doing a fucking Harry Potter spell. Afito proteger, metais, aguadar, sinal mascara. Not the fucking, you stupid. Cameron was just waving a screwdriver like a wand as I spoke. Translated, these words mean 1630, be at the specified location, 1830, ingest capsules, after the effect protect metals, await signal mask. This note is the Rosetta Stone for the case. This note provides a precise timeline that matches the men's movements. At 1630 corresponds to their arrival at the hill after leaving the bar. 1830 was the time designated for the ritual's climax, the ingestion of the capsules. The phrase protect metals is linguistically ambiguous. It could mean protect the metals, referring to the masks or other equipment, or protect with metals, using the masks to shield the eyes. The signal implies an external event they were waiting for, a landing, a light, or a transmission. Critically, the 3 million cruceros were missing. Only a few small coins were found. This absence introduces the strong possibility of robbery, yet the scene lacked the violence associated with a mugging. The watch remained on Miguel's wrist, and their expensive clothes were untouched. The official investigation into the deaths was plagued by procedural errors, negligence, and the limitations of 1960s forensic science in Brazil. Upon receiving the initial report on August 20th, the police patrol led by Officer Antonio Guerra climbed the hill, but deemed the terrain too difficult and the light too fading to recover the bodies that evening. They left the scene unguarded overnight. This 24-hour delay exposed the bodies to further decomposition and potential tampering. The bodies were eventually transported to the Niterói morgue, where the autopsy was conducted by Dr. Astor de Mello. The coroner noted no external signs of violence, no gunshot wounds, no stab marks, no ligatures, and no blunt force trauma. However, the pivotal failure occurred in the preservation of biological samples. The internal organs, essential for toxicology testing, were not preserved in the appropriate chemical solutions or refrigeration. By the time the samples were sent for analysis to determine the contents of the capsules, they were too decomposed to yield reliable results. Consequently, the investigation could never scientifically confirm if the men died of poisoning, such as cyanide or arsenic, or a drug overdose. The capsules mentioned in the note remain chemically unidentified, and the official cause of death was listed as undetermined. Police, you look like you're thinking about something.
Yeah, I was thinking about the idea of robbery and the idea that, well, it wasn't violent, but I think that hope, optimism is really, really, really powerful and easy to exploit. And so when you're talking about something that is truly unknown and these guys, especially Manoel, was really, it seems like, passionate to the point where he would have spoken to probably anybody who would listen about this. And if you tell the wrong person, or if the wrong person tells the wrong person, they could use it against you and create this situation where you think that you're speaking to life from another planet, and they tell you to go to this place and to be there and to follow all of these steps and to be there at a certain time. Which, again, what the fuck does that mean to an alien time? It's a social construct. So I'm thinking it could be this really elaborate robbery, not a robbery where they're like, hey, look, it's not a crime of opportunity. I think that if this is a robbery, if that was the motive here, then it was planned, and they were targeted because of their work and fascination with trying to connect with life outside of Earth. You asked. So
I know. I hear what you're saying.
You're like, I know, I regret it. It's fine.
No. I don't regret it. This is going to sound, I'm sure, in some way, I don't know, uncaring, trite, any number of things. There's something whimsical about this idea of something related to mysticism or UFOs. Life outside of what we know it. And I've always been fascinated by the paranormal, the supernatural. And there are times that I've considered just bringing a weird ass case to the podcast that has very little to do with true crime and more to do with unexplained disappearances. And do I know that in all practicality, those unexplained disappearances are crimes or someone just deciding to leave? Yes. But I much prefer to think, they were taken by extraterrestrials.
Human money is very valuable on other planets.
Or, they turned into a fucking vampire and fled to a different country. Or things like that. That I know they're not based in real reality. But they're whimsical. They're soft. They're different. It's a kind of excitement of not knowing, which I don't often celebrate. So I don't know. I like that this has an element that is less explained by human behavior.
I like that you were like, I'll not do a disappearance, but I also might not be bringing a crime.
I mean, to be fair,
it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're literally speculating. I'm speculating about potential crime. But there's also, this is not necessarily something where it's this elaborate scheme to rob them. Maybe they convinced themselves of whatever, got themselves to this place and took their own lives, whether it was intentional or with the purpose of, like, I don't know, transporting to another planet. I don't know. I wasn't there for the conversations they were having. I wasn't anywhere because it was the 60s.
Well,
it's possible, though.
You were already a follicle inside of your mother at that time.
Right. It's possible.
Okay. No patience for me. Got it. Continue.
It's actually not that, but if I opened the can of worms, I'd go all the way through it. We're pulling out every single worm. We're inspecting each worm. So it's possible this 18-year-old kid found the bodies and took the money before reporting it. It's also possible that the police took the money. I mean, drugs and money, those are things that are not always processed on the up and up. No, you're right.
So,
I mean, we're literally speculating. I'm speculating about potential crime. But there's also, this is not necessarily something where it's this elaborate scheme to rob them. Maybe they convinced themselves of whatever, got themselves to this place and took their own lives, whether it was intentional or with the purpose of, like, I don't know, transporting to another planet.
Without any other, more verifiable leads, police focused their attention on the scientific spiritualist community. Specifically, Elcio Gomez, the friend who had participated in previous experiments. Elcio was brought in for questioning, and though he initially denied involvement, he eventually admitted to the group's activities in the previous garden explosion. Investigators theorized that Elcio or another associate might have orchestrated a perfect crime, convincing Manoel and Miguel that they needed to bring money for the encounter and take spiritual capsules to survive the energy. If the capsules were poison, the killer could simply wait for them to die, take the money, and leave no marks of violence. However, Elcio provided an alibi for the time of the deaths, and without toxicology evidence providing murder by poison, the police could not charge him. Years later, a notorious criminal named Hamilton Benzani confessed to the murders, claiming he was hired to rob the men, but his story was riddled with inconsistencies and is largely regarded as a fabrication. While the police investigation floundered, the case gained a second life in the annals of ufology and parapsychology. The peculiar elements of the crime scene suggested a narrative that transcended simple robbery. Perhaps the most compelling piece of corroborative evidence for the contact theory comes from Mrs. Gracinda Barbosa Coutinho. A resident of the Fonseca neighborhood near Vintém Hill, she reported to authorities that on the evening of Wednesday, August 17th, the exact time frame indicated by the victim's notebook, that she and her children witnessed an anomalous aerial phenomenon. Mrs. Gracinda described a luminous orange-colored object hovering over the summit of Vintém Hill. The object reportedly emitted bands of light and hovered for several minutes before ascending. If this testimony is accurate, it places a UFO directly over the victims at the precise moment they were instructed to wait for the signal. Decades later, in 1980, the renowned computer scientist and ufologist Jacques Vaillant visited Brazil to investigate the case for his book Confrontations. Vaillant conducted a site visit to Vintém Hill and interviewed the original investigators. He reported that even 14 years after the event, the specific spot where the bodies had lain was barren. Vegetation allegedly refused to grow in the silhouette of the corpses, while the surrounding grass flourished. Did you hear something weird?
Your phone ringing?
Did my phone ring?
Yeah.
Or did you hear it vibrate?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I never have my sound on, so That's what my phone sounds like when it's ringing.
Oh, sorry. I keep my sound on most of the time. This phenomenon is often cited in UFO trace cases as evidence of microwave radiation or soil sterilization. Vaillant speculated that the deaths might not have been accidental or spiritual, but rather were the result of a test of directed energy weapon or a high-intensity craft output, noting that the lead masks were entirely rational if the men expected to face a source of intense radiation or light. Research into the region's history uncovered yet another chilling precedent. 4 years prior to the lead masks case in 1962, a television... I said that's so weird.
Television.
A television technician... Why did I make it French at the end? A television technician... I am going to have to put an embargo on international cases for myself. I cannot do it. I try. Sometimes I even put in the expended effort to look up how to pronounce things before I get to a case. Today I did not do that, and I just feel like such an utter fool.
Here's the thing. It happens to me in national cases. I am like, I'll be reading and I'm like, I have no idea how this is actually pronounced. I've only ever read it to myself.
But have you ever tried to spell peel out loud?
I've tried, but I have to stop after about the 16th E.
Yeah, it's a confusing ass word. I don't know why sounds are the way they are.
I actually can only specifically talk about peal as if like a peal of laughter so that there is no second E. What's my word though? What's the word? Conjecture. Conjecture? Never until we had a podcast did I struggle with that word.
I never struggled with any word until we had a podcast. And then I had a podcast and I was like, oh, fuck, I don't even know how to talk.
You're like, oh, fark. I don't even...
I'm fucking up words I've known for forever.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. 4 years prior to the lead masks case in 1962, a television technician named Hermes Luis Feitosa was found dead on the Morro de Crucero, located in the same region. Like Manoel and Miguel, Feitosa was an electronics expert, and like them, he was found wearing a lead mask. Investigations at the time suggested Feitosa had been attempting to capture psychic radio waves without electronic equipment, using his own mind as the receiver. The similarities suggest a shared dangerous subculture of technical experimentation in the region. Based on the verifiable data, there are 3 primary theories that emerge. The first is the confidence trick murder, positing that the men were victims of a sophisticated fraud where some kind of guru or leader convinced them to bring money and take poison capsules as part of the ritual. While the missing money supports this, the lack of struggle and the deposit slip for the water bottle contradict a robbery or suicide pact. The second theory is an accidental psychospiritual overdose, suggesting that the men were, quote, true believers who took psychedelics to transcend dimensions and succumbed to the elements or cardiac arrest. This aligns with the kind of scientific spiritualism background and the storm, but leaves the missing money unexplained. The third theory is the anomalous event, where the men met a genuine UFO confirmed by the Gracinda sighting and died from exposure to the propulsion system or radiation. This explains the lead mask and the barren soil, but lacks physical evidence of radiation burns. Lastly, there's the theory that you posited. It could have been someone else who was a lesser-known target that took advantage of the situation. The lead masks case remains a haunting testament to the human desire to touch the infinite. Manoel and Miguel were not merely victims of a crime, but they were explorers of a frontier that existed between the soldering iron and the spirit.
Exactly. Did cover this case?
I don't know.
The only thing, and it was about the 4th time you said it, was those lead eye covered things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I feel like I've heard this before. But just specifically that part. I don't remember anything else. And, very important to note, I was picturing them like the little things that you use when you go into a tanning booth. Mm-hmm. Not as like sunglasses that shielded the whole eye.
Just solid lead peeper things.
Just
like fucking
with this tiny lead connector.
the shit that, what's her fucking name? Jennifer Coolidge has on her eyes in A Cinderella Story, when she hops up out of the tanning bed. That's the image I think of. In the oppressive atmosphere of 1960s Brazil, they looked to the sky for answers that the earth could not provide. The case exposes the fragility of truth when forensic rigor fails. Because the organs...
That is the tale as old as time. Look into the sky to explain things that you can't make sense of.
It's my favorite method. Why? Because the organs were allowed to rot, the capsule... Sorry.
Not while I'm drinking.
The capsule. And the soldering iron. The capsule. The capsule remains a blank variable. Because the money vanished, the motive blurs between greed and transcendence. 60 years later, Vintém Hill has been swallowed by the encroaching urban growth of Niterói. The Cape and colonial grass grows over the spot where they lay, but the image of the 2 men, dressed in their Sunday best, lying in the rain, waiting for a signal beyond eyes of lead endures. It serves as a grim reminder of the scientific spiritualist movement, A reminder that the bridge between tech and magic is often built on a foundation of dangerous faith. They went to the hill to see the light. Whether they found it, or whether darkness found them first, is a secret they took to the grave. And that's it. That's my case.
So you're saying that it prevented on this spot where these men died, and this UFO hovered over it and beamed lights for a few minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
That nothing grew there.
Correct.
But then you said that urban growth had taken over. Explain yourself.
Stupid. I guess I could have said urban sprawl.
You bring things to me,
Mm-hmm.
knowing two things that I can't help but try to wildly speculate what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that it drives you crazy when I do that.
And rationalize, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Drawing the dots on the paper when you don't like what the dots show you. Finding new dots to incorporate.
Wow. I draw dots on the paper. Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah, you're investigative and imaginative.
I'm not drawing dots, Hayden. I'm not the police officer who's forcing the scene to fit my theory rather than making sure that I firmly believe that when you've solved it, everything falls into place. Not that you force it in like you got the wrong puzzle piece there.
Yeah, it sounds like wrongful convictions.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, when it's done that way, when you force it.
And you know what? Wrongful convictions, terrible, but just underneath wrongful convictions, it's a criminal getting away with it and getting to continue to carry out those crimes because your pride won't let... Look. We're not here for this. This was interesting.
I almost said, when has that stopped you before?
I have to stop myself all the time. I'm glad that we clarified that it wasn't just tiny tanning booth.
That was important.
Yeah.
I couldn't have you thinking they were in the biggest tanning bed.
Well, what do you think? Do you think that it was the aliens? That's what you want to believe, isn't it?
It's what I want to believe.
Yeah.
It's what I want to believe, but ultimately the truth of the situation is I'm mostly a rational person. And so given that information, giving that self-awareness, I think that I have to recognize that the most likely truth is the one we don't know. Something happened to them physically on this plane with creatures of this dimension, of this planet, but that's not the story I want to believe. I want there to be something very X-Files-y about it. Something paranormal, supernatural. I want to call up Mulder and Sully, who are fake characters, and say, hey, head on down to Priscilla and find out what happened. And now talking about this makes me want to watch the X-Files. Andrew doesn't like the X-Files.
I've never watched it.
It used to freak me out as a kid.
Is that the theme song, roughly, what I just did?
Kind of.
Yeah.
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 I'm David Duchovny and you're Gillian Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Don't know what that means, but okay.
Okay.
I'll go along on this ride with you.
David Duchovny is hot.
Well, clearly, so is Gillian.
That's true, too. They're both hot. David Duchovny is hot and kind of I don't know how to explain it. That doesn't really matter. That's not what I'm fucking here for.
All I'm thinking of, I think, are the NCIS people.
That would be wrong. Just a heads up.
We got a regular old Meryl Streep situation going on over here.
I'm going to get so distracted. I'm so distracted because you said NCIS, and then I thought Criminal Minds, and then I thought Matthew Gray Goobler, and then I thought about this TikTok guy who looks like Matthew Gray Goobler, and...
That was a Freudian slip if I've ever heard one.
It sure was. Matthew Gay Gobbler. But it's not his name.
No, this was really interesting.
I'm glad you feel that way. I thought you were going to hate it. I still think you might kind of hate it, but...
It's not my favorite, but it is interesting. And I also heard you last time when you were like, well, I want you to like my cases. And I'm like, well, as much as it's my podcast, it's your podcast too. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right. Next time I'll just come with something that's not even... There's no crime potential. It's just fucking weird.
That's just actually what you do, turns out. I go back and listen to all of the cases.
I've been doing the same thing the whole time.
You've been like, it's not really right, but like Rick-rolling me, kind of. But not Rick-rolling, but like...
Kind of Rick-rolling.
But like showing up to our true crime podcast and never actually presenting a crime.
To be fair, I have done it a lot. Hard to prove a crime if someone is just missing.
Just gone.
All right, I'm Hayden, and this is the end of the episode.
Join us on Patreon.
That's all we've got for this episode. Thank you for listening.
Until the next crime.
If you enjoyed listening and for some fucking reason want to hear more of this bullshit, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a review. And I mean a good review.
Yeah, that accompanies your 5-star rating.
Yeah.
A complete list of sources can be found in the episode description.
And please, please, please recommend us to a friend. And if you're able and willing to help us produce this podcast, sign up for our Patreon.
The link to joining our supportive bestie tier for only $2 a month is listed in the show notes. Also, make sure you're following us at End of Crime Pod on Instagram.
Our email address is endofcrimepod@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out with questions or episode suggestions.